Hello, everyone. Welcome to Liam's Lyceum. I'm your host, Liam, aka Hambar. Today, I'm going to do Liam's Leapings number 32, my weekly updates. This is for March the 11th, 2023. So, this week, it's been a good week. Let's see, actually, I had a story get published today when I'm recording this, so yesterday, on Wingraph, website, wingraph.com, WYNGRAF. I've already had a story published by them before. They are a magazine. I've had flash fiction published by them, though, which is stuff that's free on their website. You don't have to buy their magazine. In flash fiction, if you don't know, is very short. So this one, I think, is like 699 words. It's very short. It'll take you like just a couple minutes to read. It is cozy fantasy. That is what Wingraph is. It's not normally what I write, actually. I've written two stories that I would definitely call cozy fantasy, and they've both been published by Wingraph. And then I've written like several sword and sorcery stories, and really none of them have been published. I have one that's going to be published in May, but and another one I guess that should be published at some point soon. So, but yeah. Anyways, I did do some good reading though. It was, excuse me, it was a little bit of a different week here, just because I kind of was in a slump. So I finished a book on Saturday, and then I finished a book on Sunday, and then I finished a book on Monday, and I just haven't read much since finishing that book on Monday. I've read some other books, of course. I'll mention those, but I easily could have finished another book. Um, Maybe even another book, but I could have at least finished 4 books. I finished 3. I did read some short stories, so let me just tell you real quick what I read. The first book I believe I finished, so the one on Saturday, was Ellis Peters' A Morbid Taste for Bones, a murder mystery in Wales about some English monks, Benedictine monks, going to Wales to translate the bones of a saint there, Saint Winifred. Yeah. Um, and someone gets murdered in the process. So pretty interesting. I really like it. It's very cozy. I felt like the rest of the books take place during the anarchy, so I bet they're less cozy. I mean, and they're morbid in some sense. Heck, it's a morbid taste of bones, right? Murder mysteries. I think most of them are. Um, and it's very cozy. It's very short, but it definitely was a book I felt like it was hard to just like go in and just read a couple pages. Like I really needed to be engaged with it to really, get something out of the story. But it was fun. I definitely will be reading more by Ellis Peters, which is just a pen name, by the way. And then Sunday, the book I finished was actually a Kindle book. It was the Viking GAEL Saga by J.T.T. Ryder. It's self-published. It's actually coming out on the 14th, so this is an arc. My review will come out on the 14th as well. This is very fun, actually, and it's really short. It's about 50,000 words, so really short, about 200 pages probably. I will be getting a physical copy probably when that comes out. So yeah, that was an interesting and fun read. It's basically exactly what it sounds like. It's about a boy who is Viking. He's half Norwegian, and half Gaelic. So he's from Ireland. Well, kind of. He's from the Hebrides, the Isle of Egg. Anyway, I think it's EIGG. So yeah, it's very interesting. Kind of a saga, kind of a unwilling saga. He's young. Some cool stuff happens. I liked it. It's very adult, but I liked it. And then I finished on Monday. Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves: The Road to Neverwinter by J. Lee Johnson. The review for this actually went up on Tuesday. Just trying to get it out before the movie comes out at the end of this month. So it's better than Druid's Call, which I finished the week before. Not my favorite by any means, but it's not bad. If you want to get a better feel for how the movie might play out, maybe read this. I don't really have much to say besides you can just go watch my review or go read my blog post on my blog, which is forgottenrealmsreading.com. And then, so those are the 3 books I finished, essentially. I am reading Magic: The Children of the Nameless by Brandon Sanderson. It's been a while since I read a Brandon Sanderson book. It's okay. This is really short. I should have finished it, but it just hasn't really gripped me at all. It's not bad, but it's fine. I don't know. It definitely doesn't make me want to read any more Brandon Sanderson right now because it's been a couple years um, since the end of 2020, I believe, was the last time I read a Brandon Sanderson book. And then I haven't read any of his because my tastes have changed quite a bit since then, and I feel like I wouldn't enjoy him as much these days. I don't think I'd enjoy him as much these days, even his normal stuff, because this is a little different. There's like no hard magic here. It is Magic the Gathering, right? Stuff like that. It's not his world. It is way shorter than most of Sandman stuff, which is something I appreciate actually. So, but it is. I'm sorry. It is okay. And then I've also been reading. I read like one chapter in one book, so I won't mention that until I get further along. But I did read some of Calday of the Long Sun by Gene Wolfe. This book is awesome. I'm really digging this one. Um, this book is this copy I have is like mint condition, which I really like. Called A the Long Sun, book 3 in the Book of the Long Sun, which is kind of a sequel to Book of the New Sun by Gene Wolfe. It's not as good as Book of the New Sun in my opinion, but it's really awesome. It's got some cool characters. It's got some sci-fi possessions. It's got a bird that's really intelligent named Orib, and it's in a generation ship in space, but it comes off as kind of fantasy. It comes off as more sci-fi actually in a lot of cases than New Sun does, because there's like obviously robots and they're like obvious robots. There's robots in New Sun, but it's not very obvious sometimes. So, anyways, definitely interesting look at religion there as well. Um, I'm really enjoying it. And then I'm reading a little bit of Hard Reading, How to Read Science Fiction, I think is the subtitle, by Tom Shippey. It's free online, actually. You can just go find a digital copy of it and download it free. It's like not like pirated, like it's just straight up free. It's available free online, digitally. You can get a physical copy. They're a little expensive. It is an academic work. Um, but I'm really enjoying it. I'm not that far into it. I know later on there's specific chapters that are about like the sci-fi of certain authors. Like I think Le Guin gets a chapter and Jack Vance gets a chapter. So looking forward to reading more of that. I did read a couple short stories this week. I read Affinity by N.V. Andrich. Andrich? I don't know how to say her name. This is in Star Wars Shadows issue 3, which is been getting about one story a week for the past few weeks. I've mentioned past few weeks the stories I've been reading in Star Wars Shadows. This one is pretty good. It's kind of like magic, but like tech magic. And it's about taking down like corrupt people, and it's about a whistleblower even. So it's pretty interesting. I liked it. It's actually a really good example of an idea that I think a lot of people would have turned into a novel, and I think this story kind of shows you why it doesn't necessarily need to be a novel. I still think some people will probably read this, especially people who don't read a lot of short stories. They might read it and be like, wow, that should have been a novel. It felt too rushed, but I didn't feel like that at all. And then the other short story I read was Ogre Hunt by David Wiley in A Merchant in Oria and Other Tales. I'm slowly but surely getting there. It's been a minute since I read a story again, but I only have a few more now. I think this is the Doppelganger. Was it Doppelganger Danger? It's the next one, and then Taking Down Goliath, which is actually a poem, pretty long poem actually, but it's pretty cool. And then there's a Merchant Oria, which I think is the last one. So I only have 3 more things. But I like Ogre Hunt. It was definitely kept me on my toes. It's not a typical ogre hunt. I mean, in some ways it almost feels like cozy fantasy because it just got just fantasy vibes, kind of like almost like a fairy tale in a sense, but I really liked it. And then just other stuff. I've been playing D&D every week, which has been nice. 5th edition, I'm not a huge fan of 5th edition, but it's still fun to play at least. Looks like I'll be starting up another campaign of Castles and Crusades, which is really exciting. And I won't be the dungeon master, the referee, whatever you want to call it, game master. In Castle Crusades, it's called Castle Keeper. This time, which is nice, will be the first time I'm actually playing as a player Castle Crusades, which is cool. I'm a big fan of Castle Crusades. A few years ago at this point, I decided that was kind of the system I preferred. I like fantasy stuff like Dungeons and Dragons, and I played some AD&D, but it's a little clunky, especially on the rules. 3rd edition does not appeal to me. 4th edition doesn't really appeal to me either. Fourth edition material, actually, if you convert it to fifth edition, makes fifth edition feel a lot better. Funnily enough, but Castles and Crusades is compatible with first and second edition, so AD&D. I think Gary Gygax said that it would have been what he would have done with a second edition AD&D if he had gotten the chance, because he didn't make second edition AD&D. He was actually working with the people like Trollord Games on Castle and Crusades content when he passed away. Like his Castle Zagig is basically Castle Greyhawk. Stuff is ridiculously expensive because Gygax's widow pulled all that stuff when he passed. But it is my go-to thing. It is very easy. It's easier to play than 5th edition, but it feels like Adventure and Dragons. It's pretty miraculous, actually. It's pretty freaking awesome. So, I mean, like, it's compatible, like I said, with 1st edition and 2nd edition, and it's just fun as heck to play. It's super streamlined, super easy. In fact, it has been suggested that 5th edition might have gotten some of their stuff from Castle and Crusades, because I believe Castle and Crusades is the oldest of the OSR, which is Old School Renaissance or Old School Revival, Old School Role Playing, whatever you want to say that OSR stands for. It's from 2004, so it's pretty old as far as those go. So it's been around for a while. They don't do new editions. Their editions are just like errata fixings, basically. So like, yeah. Anyways, like I'm on one edition. They had another one after that, and then they're on the one after that. So, and it doesn't matter really. They do have to tend to have some spelling errors in them, but it's fine. I like Castles and Crusades anyways. There's my endorsement for Castles and Crusades. I believe the name itself comes from Gygax's club, like wargaming club, when he was younger, which was called Castles and Crusades. So yeah, anyways, I enjoy that role-playing system. Anyways, oh, there was also a thing. There was an inscription found recently that is the oldest reference to Odin, the god Odin, which I thought was pretty cool. I was looking at stuff like for that today. A TED Talk came out for Sword and Sorcery by Jason Carney. I believe he gave it late last year. It's essentially a spoken version of his LARB, which is the LA Review of Books article, which came out about a year ago. I don't remember what it's called, but I'll try to link all this stuff I'm mentioning down below. I also had a review published by Spiral Tower Press, which is how I know Jason Carney, because he's the guy there. So I had a review for A Book of Blades come out, which is pretty cool. So if you want to read a review by me, I mean, of course, I've had several reviews published before on my blog and here on this channel, hundreds of reviews actually at this point. But it's a cool one. This one's a little bit more academic. Getting it edited was a different and new experience for me. Yeah, so it was fun, and I mean that is officially a published review, so it's cool. Something I knew I have out. So I had two things published this week: a review and a short story. So that's pretty cool. Oh, I guess real quick before I forget, the books I got this week. I got the second book in the Codville stuff. So I read A Morbid Taste for Bones. Here is One Corpse Too Many. I believe when they did a TV series of this, Codfail is how they say it, TV series, which is incorrect, but whatever. This is where they started. One Corpse Too Many. This is what that first episode, I believe, is an adaptation of. It's the second book. But because, like I said, all the books but the first take place during the Anarchy period, and I guess it just didn't make sense to do the first book since it didn't take place during that period, for whatever reason. So yeah, I got that. I got The Earth is Flat by Tanith Lee. These are her flat Earth stories. DMR just came out with this collection. I believe it has some in here that might not have been published before. I've never read anything by Lee. I have a couple of her books, but I thought these sounded pretty sneaking fun. So yeah, anyways, The Earth is Flat. The Origin of Snow is the first one. And it looks like a pretty short story, actually. I wonder. I mean, this whole thing isn't very long. So, kind of science fantasy books. I am looking forward to reading these very much so, if anyone wants to chat about that. And then Man of Swords by Robert Victor Mills. It's like 6 stories. I was like, kind of sounds like a fix-up. It seems more, I mean, they're long stories. So, but it looked interesting enough. It's an indie author, so I was like, yeah, I might as well support that. And then Gentleman, and there's art in there, I believe, also done by the author. So, and then Gentleman of the Road by Michael Chabon. Shaban. I'm never gonna remember how to say that. Even though every time I hear it, I was like, hey, that's how you say it, and then I can't remember the next time I'm supposed to say it. I read this last week. If you remember, if you watched my weekly update, so this is fun. I just got my physical copy now, so that's it basically. That I know I talked a little bit about stuff I normally don't talk about. Heck, I even played. The nice thing about my slump, even though it kind of hit me like Monday, Tuesday, is there's a Halo update that came out this week, and so I've been playing a lot of Halo Infinite, and I've been playing some of Neverwinter, the MMO. I kind of was realizing with their big update they had a couple years ago at this point, um, that they got rid of some of the content I really liked, and because they reworked like the campaign of the game, and it was really annoying to me that they got rid of all this content that I liked. It's just not in the game anymore, like at all, which really annoys me. But anyways, I'll get over it. What have y'all done this week? What have you read? What have you been playing? What have you been reading? What have you been writing? I did do a little bit of editing on Monument Built Mockingly, which is a story I wrote last week. I just haven't that slump affected my writing as well. Like I haven't felt like reading much, and I haven't felt like writing much. Today was a good day because I actually read Ogre Hunt today, and that made me feel good about my reading and stuff. But I haven't really written all that much today or this week. I wrote a little bit in the story, but none of it is satisfying me, which is why I only wrote a little bit in that story. So anyways, I'm trying to get the motivation and inspiration, so to speak, for writing more. So yeah. Anyways, I'll stop it there. I'll catch y'all next time.